Good morning, everyone. Dooms here, back with another analysis. Today we're gonna watch KT Rolster against DKG. It's a really important match determining whoever's gonna come out on top of Group A in the Horizon Cup. For context, it's 1-1. KT Rolster got the first game. DKG managed to get back in game 2. The stakes are really high, as I said, so the first spot is a third side for both teams. And especially it can be a huge upset as no Chinese team lost a match before KT got that first game. So yeah, we'll see. Will China lose their first series? Will DKG prove they're back? They've learned from their mistakes in game 1 and improved. Let's watch that. So first, let's go through the draft. I really like draft, and I think people often maybe don't analyze it enough. So let's watch first of all. Both drafts has really quite, how can I say that? Very clear priorities. The Fiora, first pick instantly. Rattel has been a known carry for KT Rolster for sure. So they're playing around him. What do? They're even gonna set up a Lee Sin around him for that, enabling him to be ahead in early game. Although DKG might lack some pure draft prio, okay, how are they gonna play it? It isn't really clear. They've got plenty of possibilities, and that's their strength. That's how they've drafted it. They might lack some flexibilities when it comes to roles. Like when watching those 5, we definitely know who's gonna play who. But let's check at KT's win con. It's Fiora. Look at whoever can answer Fiora in the side lane. First of all, there's the Renekton instantly. He's gonna be top lane against the Fiora. Even if he's 1 or 2k behind, he's gonna be managing a Fiora pretty efficiently 1-on-1. Let's imagine he's really behind, or let's imagine he's so ahead he's needed in a team fight. Who can answer if you're split pushing? You've got Graves. He's one of the biggest counters in lane 2, so even if he's in jungle, it's gonna be Huiba on the Graves. He's gonna be fed, believe me on that. Don't worry, he can handle Fiora. Diana, if she's really fed, it's tough. Totally agree, but if she's fed enough and Fiora is the win con, she can try to 1v1 or at least manage to not let her free turrets. While this is a perfectly decent team fight for them 4v4. And even Garen, like it's gonna be Garen support, but he don't care. He can go spin on the wave, he can ultimate under tower if needed, he has his W, I guess it's W, don't remember. For his tenacity, some additional health, he's gonna be certainly having a gargoyle. He can manage stuff for sure. So 4 people can answer. Some people could say a Lucian could enter if you're in side lane, but yeah, without a Lucian, good luck to get a team fight 4v4 ongoing against those 4. That's tough. So yeah, DKG have more than enough ways to manage a team fight. And that's maybe where I dislike KT's draft slightly more. On this part, that whoever wants is gonna be able to win that 4v4. What I mean is, no matter who goes against a Fiora, it's likely gonna be Renekton, so count him out. Who's gonna be inside the team fight? Who's gonna be in the back line? Okay, definitely Lucian in the back, Diana getting in. The 2 head carries for KT, Corki, and and Akali, which means that for DKG it's pretty clear. You've got Diana being in the team fight with Garen getting in. It can be Renekton if Garen's in, whatever. And the backline is going to be with Lucian, Graves. Lucian dealing insane damage. Whoever approaches Lucian is going to be blasted by Graves. Pretty easy, straightforward, easy to execute. KT though, it's going to be a bit tougher. Okay, Fiora isn't there, she's going to be split pushing. She might be in a team fight, but I truly believe it would be disrespecting DKG's comp. Because even if she's 2k ahead, Renekton is going to bring way more to a team fight than Fiora's gonna. So ideally for KTs, I'm really analyzing how KT has to play this. You're gonna have Corki in the backline, Akali getting in, that's for sure. Where do Lee Sin and Alistar fit though? Okay, Alistar will likely get in, like it's his job, he's gonna have to get on the Lucian. He's gonna get blasted by Lucian Graves though, unless he goes full armor, maybe. But will they focus him? Not really. Will they really stun Lucian long? I'm not even sure. They're gonna have to focus the Akali. If someone has some ghosties in here to get the Akali in vision, she's gonna be really wrecked instantly. So I must admit I'm not a fan of that last pick. The only way I can see this draft work is not in late team fight, because again, like Lee Sin, Corki is gonna be pretty vulnerable. Akali's not gonna do insane damages, so it's really all about the Fiora and the early game. Why? You've got an Alistar to dive, so you've got some bot lane dive potential right there. Akali can have prio over Diana. She can rotate, or at least she can try to dive pretty easily, especially with all her abilities. And in mid game, Corki's gonna be mid lane, Akali's side lane, and yeah, Corki can decide whoever he wants to set up. That's a good thing. Lee Sin, as I said, is gonna be able to enable the Fiora, some stuff in early game. So yeah, really this one, although they've got a scaling comp, Akali scales, Corki scales, whatever, they have to manage stuff early because the team fight is going to be really tough to play, or at least it's going to be way easier for DKG to play it out. So DKG have to really manage the Fiora Lee Sin early, and what I would advise for them to do is to get to this one. Why are Tabai's Grey Boots? Well, who would buy Mercs here? Alistar isn't affected by Mercs, he isn't really affected by Tabai's either, I agree, but the 4 champions here, all 4 are affected by Tabai's. Fiora, AD damage. Lee Sin, mainly AD damage. Corki, auto attacks. You get Tabais. Akali's passive, attacked by Tabais. So DKG, whoever runs Mercs is, yeah, you know. And same for DKG basically, like Diana auto attack, so Tabais makes sense. Lucian Graves, insane Tabai value. You could argue for Renekton depending on his builds, but I would go Tabais against him too. So yeah, whoever goes Mercs on KT doesn't make the right choice, my opinion. So yeah, that's the draft. We've got both teams' win cons. We know how the team fight is gonna be played. So yeah, let's find out how it goes. Let's go back instantly to the laning phase. A huge issue is, as we said, early game matters. If early game matters, Lee Sin has to be able to get his lanes ahead, which means Graves can't be ahead. If Graves is ahead on the clear, you see it here, he's gonna be able to clear faster, which means enable mid lane, which means if Akali is gonna be low, as we see here, Lee Sin can't do anything mid lane again. Akali is gonna have to use her shadows, she's gonna have to use basically anything she can to set up a good dive to trade effectively, so Lee Sin can't do instantly mid, he's gonna have to go back, scuttle. Alright. What do they do now, DKG? They see this. Why? Lee Sin is gonna go top. So how do they react? Diana's gonna clear, she's gonna come top, and Graves, who takes the scuttles, is gonna be taking the mid wave. Why doesn't it matter? Yeah, Graves is a good carry, he's an ADC kind of jungler. Go ahead, give him some waves. He's even gonna do something really smart, he's taking the scuttles bot, which means he's gonna show himself to the bot lane. We see it here, the ping from KT's bot lane, which means bot lane can't do anything. Diana's gonna cover top, and Graves is gonna be mid. All 3 lanes are pretty safe for everyone. And that's exactly what happens. Lee Sin is gonna try to come for a dive, there's a huge wave crashing right there, but they're not gonna be able to do anything, because Lee Sin sees Diana, okay, 2v2, we can't do anything, especially with those 2 early powerhouses. So that's some really, really good macro from DKG, anticipating what KT are gonna do. Now, a little lesson about Corki. It's gonna be quite fast, but it's something I don't see teams exploiting enough. We see three people backing here, 330. That's perfect what DKG have to do. Why? Because as you can see, at 4 minutes, let's get ahead a bit. Corki is gonna have to back. He's gonna take his package at 4 minutes. Pretty classic. But if you take a package at 4 minutes, it means you can't be on any objective before 4:15, around that. So if all 4 here on top are on the Herald, they can take the Herald before Corki even manages to get in range of it, which means you get an easy 4v3, something like that. If Diana pressures, you've got a free Herald. So yeah, Corki is a great champion, don't get me wrong, but if you exploit some of his weaknesses, you can basically get pretty big advantages of it. Because as you can see, we'll see here, he can't manage his timings better. He got the packages when he spawns, he's coming straight forward, and we'll see when he's able to come. At 4:12 he comes at mid turret, which means at 4:15 or so he can go to an objective, not before that. You've got plenty of time to do the Herald, if you go for it, of course. Now, the mid game. So yeah, there's a trade happening, pretty classic, so Herald for Infernal. Okay, sounds good. Herald makes sense for KT, obviously. Your win con is Fiora, you gotta get her ahead. Well, go ahead and get the Fiora ahead with the Herald. Really good. Again, DKG are anticipating it really, really well. They know that. Herald has spawned. Okay, really good. Herald has been taken even. We see the announcement somewhere here. Herald, instantly, you'll see Diana moved up to cover for it. Even with a Herald, Lee Sin Fiora can't dive Renekton Diana. Again, they're powerhouses. They both got their ultimates up. You can't do anything about it. So once again, and even here, that's maybe a good side of Garen's support. Corki isn't going to be able to push. Why? Because Garen isn't Leona or Brome or whatever. Garen's going to be able to clear pretty effectively. He's not that bad in gold considering his matchup. So yeah, Herald has been used. You don't get a tower. Renekton just uses ult. It's not that much. And everyone just has to retire. And DKG don't lose a lot for the Herald used, while they get the Infernal to scale the heck out of this game. So let's move on when next objective spawns. Oh no, it's gonna be a bit later. Here, a really good play by Kitty. That's exactly what they gotta do. They're trapping. We saw Lee Sin getting in a bush right there. He's getting in the side lane bush. Fiora isn't showing either. Graves doesn't know what's happening. He's gonna be ganked pretty easily by Kitty. It's an easy kill. Once again, immediately you see this, everyone starts to move instantly. You see DKG instantly covering top. Boom. Garen's gonna support because they know Graves is gonna be dead. Garen's gonna cover in lane, and Lucian's positioning has been insane here. He's basically just staying there, providing vision. Lucian can't face check because he doesn't know if people are here or whatever, waiting. So he's just staying here, safe. Garen's gonna help Renekton in case something happens. And Lucian, by the time mid-wave comes, has all the time in the world to just get back to safety and clear the wave. If, yeah, he doesn't have ultimate, but yeah, just with 1 or 2 abilities he can clear it. And once again, DKG are rotating. They're, 4 mid, and they won't be able to do anything because the waves aren't synchronized. It's normal. So Garen and Renekton have the time to come back, and they easily can just cover mid. So yeah, KT are doing stuff, but they can't manage to create a big advantage out of it. While, as we said, the game scaling, especially with Infernal, is going to be really good for DKG. So let's move on to the next phase. Alright, both objective spawns again. If we quickly check, okay, what's happening? Here's the trade. Let's look at the bigger picture again. We see, okay, KT got a Herald and Ocean. DKG are getting a Herald and Infernal. Even that trade solo is already really worth it for DKG. Like Infernal above Ocean any day, sorry. The turrets, like the Herald's effectiveness wasn't that huge yet. So that's really one big point. And another big one is DKG's macro positioning. DKG realized, okay, no one's here. There's nothing to do top for now. So, you know what? Let's cover all 3 lanes. Diana isn't needed. She's there. And KT just can't contest the Herald anyway. Which means DKG have all 3 lanes covered, while KT Rolster don't. And that's where stuff is gonna happen. They can play on 3 lanes, while they only have 2 lanes. You're gonna definitely take damage on the top tower, for sure. So you have to do something. Can you do something though? I'm not really sure. As we said, Diana in the tower, she has ultimate, she has barrier. She's gonna be tough to deal with, and if you do, you're maybe gonna lose someone with it, or you're gonna lose mid because all 4 have to commit on Diana, which means Fiora can't hold a turret solo. She's a duelist. She can't play against Lucian and Garen together. Corki's gonna have to go back. Lee Sin doesn't really know what to do because both situations are really tough. They're gonna try to go, but guess what? Garen realizes that again. DKG's macro is absolutely insane again. He's gonna come cover. Lee Sin and Alistar don't have really that much damage. They need the Akali. They can't commit like that because the wave didn't crash yet. So yeah, Garen just takes a bit of damage. He pops... yeah, he didn't even pop his gargoyle. It's good. And Graves doesn't even use Herald with Renekton to get the mid tower. The top tower, sorry. That's really huge. Now another one. There's no objective to play. You basically just play for kills. You get Flash out, you get Gargoyle out for Garen, you take the trade. Here's a 2v2, why not? You've got a Lee Sin coming. You can try to dive, but again, yeah, Diana's tough to dive. Okay, you get to Garen, but here comes the drama. DKG's mechanics are really good. And instantly, Lee Sin can't come. Why? Because Graves has the Herald pressure again. So this Herald, this is a perfectly used Herald by DKG. It's an answer. They make it so that DKG can do whatever they want, and even if you lose Garen, they lose Akali, they lose Alistar, and the mid turret. And this, okay, mechanics were good here with the Diana ultimate, but it's really all about the macro. They realize, okay, we're gonna drag this Lee Sin back, because Lee Sin could have made an impact here on bot lane. Drag him back with Herald, Diana clutches it, we got a basically solid turret hit, and Diana can even rotate exactly what she does. On next wave, you poke a bit and you get the turret. And getting mid turret is worth it any day. Like, it's huge right now in Wild Rift, as we discussed in our previous video with Ziggs. Quick situation on vision. Exactly, so you see the timers here, it's approximately, you gotta take a minute out, but in this video we were at what, 10 minutes? We are at 10:40, so it's not that much after, and we instantly see they took mid tower, they used that to put deep vision hit. Not once in the match, I didn't check the whole match second per second for vision, but not once in the match have I seen vision past the river from KT. Maybe they weren't able to, maybe they didn't have full information, they didn't think they were capable of it. But Fiora is about dominating a side lane, so if you can't put pressure and cut them up in half, okay, we're gonna control this so Fiora can play for T2, it's gonna be tough. Whereas DKG have constantly info on the Lee Sin, because Lee Sin is gonna have to farm quite a bit, or at least on the buffs, this one, and crowds are really useful to take, whether it's Corki if he's mid lane or Lee Sin. So they're constantly gonna have information on everyone. Now there's another team fight that's gonna pop here, but look at this first. There's a call from KT to go in. Okay, we're 3, let's make a play. But Corki's backing. If you get your main, it's kind of your main damage source, out of here, if we leave Fiora, he's the most fed in the team, he's Cleaver and, Cleaver, what am I saying? Reaver and Charge Blade, he's gonna hit a lot. You can't do that, basically. They're gonna try to fight, they're gonna go way too far. You can see it here, they're practically, never mind. We can see it here, they're gonna go under T2 again against the Diana. It's really tough to dive, she has stasis, Garen is back up, and Lucian's gonna back too. Like, under turret, someone's going for the turret, someone's going for the Diana. It's gonna be a nightmare. We pop plenty of ultimates, sure, but if I'm DKG, I'm taking that trade any day. Okay, it's a turret, but you lose a kill, and you lose basically the best or the second best dragon in the game, knowing that DKG already have the other one that could be considered the best. So that's a huge hit again for KT to realize, okay, what are our limits? It's DKG, you know, they're not bad mechanically. Their macro has been insane from minute 3, as we saw with the mid lane swaps, etc. It's perfect from DKG. Perfectly played and answered at least. So it's a bit like the draft. Like, KT's draft is really easy to execute, kind of. Okay, we know what we gotta do, we're gonna do it. DKG's draft maybe doesn't make sense instantly, like, okay, what are you aiming for? You don't have a clear win condition, kinda. But it's a draft that can basically answer anything if you play it really well. And DKG are effectively playing it really well. Now KT have been showing up too, for sure. This is maybe the perfect example of, okay, DKG is doing a mistake, KT are proving they can answer it. Like, I might sound very biased, let's say, towards DKG. I really admire macro, I'm a fan of macro and drafting, so I really love what they're showing. But KT are proving solid too. They identify there's a huge distance between Graves and Lucian. He can be caught. Well, the whole comp of DKG is basically, you can't rush us because those two are together. If those two aren't together, we're just gonna move on. You take the Graves out. Garen takes huge damage, Graves is gonna have to stasis instantly. Really good reflexes, by the way, by Huiba. Really admirative. He's gonna be able to get out, but then it's Lucian who's gonna get damage, because Graves is focusing on getting out and not on protecting the Lucian. So both get really hit. Again, Akali against this comp, I don't get it. She's really gonna get shredded no matter where she goes. But once again, we look the positioning. Lucian's gonna have to back, even if Huiba's back in and can sustain or whatever, Lucian isn't there. You lose your main damage source, kinda. Once again, DKG, KT are just gonna take damage, and that's maybe why Alistar has been drafted, and that's where I see KT playing their game as they should. Lee Sin catching people, Fiora who was on a side lane and got back into the game, and Alistar to dive through it. It's perfect. Because as we saw, by the way, Renekton wasn't here, Fiora wasn't here. It's a 4v4. It's what we predicted from the draft. It's how the game should be played. Now the game's moving on. There's going to be Elder Spawn soon. We see it here, 2 seconds. And this is, again, a really good fight by DKG. If you look at this, Diana is getting caught right here. She got Lee Sin kicked back. She called it. But Diana is really hard to catch. Even if she's kicked, she can just dash back into Lee Sin. Even if she loses her dash, if she's really good, she can Q dash instantly. So yeah, she's practically going to be safe. We see it here. She just backed again in, dashed again in. And now it's going to be the fight setup we expect. We see DKG, so who is getting onto the damage healers of DKG? Alistar. Alistar solo is just going to tank, not do damage. While Renekton is going to tank maybe just as much, while doing huge damage to their backline. And Fiora, their win con, is just blocked by the Graves here in the, as we see on the minimap. So it's a 1v1 that Graves must win. It's a 3v1, and like those 3v1s, if you compare it, this one is favorable for DKG, and this one is good. Like Renekton's gonna tank it. He popped ultimate, he has plenty of Fury to play with, he's gonna be good. No worries. No package and corki anymore, etc. So those fights are really perfect, and as we see, Renekton's damage is just insane, while Alistar is just basically doing nothing right there. So DKG can just get back in. Graves can even hold the Fiora or decide to jump in sooner than her, which is really good. And once again, if we just count what popped, okay, maybe no one gets killed. That's really good. But what did you pop everywhere? You got all the ultimates from KT, whereas you keep Diana ultimate, which is really cool. Let's not mention Graves, we don't really care. You pop Lee Sin GA, you pop Akali Stasis, while just Renekton Stasis. It's okay, like you don't really mind. So this is again a really good trade for DKG. And that's why in this fight again, we see not all ultimates are back up. Okay, Fiora just got it back, but Alistar doesn't have it, and it's a really important tool for him. Whereas here, okay, Renekton doesn't. It's okay. Now let's analyze this fight very closely, because yeah, Elder fight basically means whoever wins this wins the game. Akali's gonna get a really good position to flank. That's her job. Again, I truly believe she's gonna have difficulties to play around it, but if you want to do something, it's like that. We also see Fiora came back for a team fight. I'm not a fan of it, but for Elder, I guess you have no real choice if you didn't have the appropriate setup to play on the opposite lane. So Renekton's gonna be here. We don't see gold, but at this time he was approximately 1 or 2k behind. And yet, as we said in early, he's gonna have way bigger impact. So let's get back to the team fight. Isaac went in. He went on wind on Lucian. It's what he can do best, for sure. And just as we predicted, so who's on their front line? It's gonna be Renekton, if he's in, never mind, Garen and Diana. As we said, they're going in, while those three are backline, what we predicted in early. Whereas Akali's getting in, he's on the back, and remember those two dot marks we said, okay, Alistar doesn't really know what to do, he's gonna try to protect his corki, Lee Sin is a bit lost right there. And Alistar, as we said, is here, and guess what? He gets here, as you see, like 1 or 2 seconds later. So let's replay that. He's gonna instantly double dash in, but he's dashing on the Renekton. That's maybe where the fight isn't lost, but why don't you go for the Lucian instead? Like Renekton's full life, he's getting ultimate pretty soon. He can't know that. I mean, he should, but he doesn't know that. It's too intense of a team fight, I guess. But Huiba and Lucian are perfect. Huiba protecting Lucian, but maximizing his damage too. He's really well positioned. And Diana is perfectly placed too. So if we look at the health bars after this, Lucian and Huiba are pretty much full life. Both tanks here are low. Both here are pretty much just as low, but look at Diana versus Akali. There's a huge health diff. Diana didn't get any damage, whereas Akali got shredded by the enemy comp. And this is why if you keep playing it, Akali's getting back in, but she's gonna get one shot. Alistar's dead, he can't tank anymore. Diana still had ultimate for that fight, which is, yeah, huge. And Fiora's impact in team fight is way too low compared to Renekton's. He tanked the hell out of this team fight, whereas she couldn't do really anything. They're taking Elder, and yeah, they're just gonna go rush base, through mid, and finish the game. So it's really all on details, but for me, draft matters a lot, and the way a team fight can be played. You play a Fiora, you gotta play around it. If you can't manage to get her ahead early, and if you can't manage to have a strong 4v4 alongside her, you're not going to be able to pressure objectives to get the Fiora to get to a T3 pretty fast. You gotta manage to have an efficient Herald, etc. So yeah, hope you liked the analysis. We'll be back very, very soon, sooner than this one, I promise, for another one. And yeah, have a good day. See ya.